This week, we talk about how to take your street photography to a whole new level by taking advantage of the days of summer. Welcome back to the Candid Frame YouTube channel. This is Ibarionex. Summer began, at least for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, last week. And summer is a great opportunity for those of us who like street photography or just photographing people in public because there are a lot of activities that are happening, like festivals, county fairs, a whole myriad of different things where people are out in abundance. And it provides a great opportunity for us as street photographers to go beyond simply photographing strangers as they walk up and down the street. For me, one of the reasons I really like summer and all the activities that are built around it is the fact that people are used to the presence of a camera, and you can actually get much closer and photograph much more intimate relationships between people as a result of these public events. And so if you're kind of tired of just walking the streets aimlessly and feeling stuck in terms of what to photograph, well, I suggest trying to attend some of these public events and really discover the rich photographic opportunities that lay in wait. And I've chosen three images that kind of illustrate some of that. So let's jump in and take a look. Okay, this is a shot by Esay Isay. There's no XF data on this image. Now, I don't know if this is at a particular type of festival, but when I looked at that image, it really spoke to the idea of public intimacy that happens. There are couples that are married, or they're going out on a first date, or people with their kids and family and friends, and there's a level of interactivity that happens at these public events that normally doesn't happen when you're just watching people walking up and down the street. It does happen, but it's more likely to happen at these events. And if you have a keen eye, you'll discover these moments, and it will allow you to photograph not just people existing within a space, but it would allow you to anticipate moments where people are going to laugh, they're going to kiss, they're going to hug, they're going to be correcting their children, a whole bunch of different things. They'll be celebrating when they've won at one of those games that are in abundance at state fairs and so on and so forth. And so as a photographer, you really need to be kind of on the hunt for those moments. And the great thing about these public events is because there's so many people out there who are there to see and be seen, you can get relatively close to people and make intimate shots like the one that Isay did here. I don't know what the circumstances were here, but I love the connection between these two as they're leaning in towards each other, and they look like they're about to kiss. The shallow depth of field is used to great effect here. I'm not sure what focal length he was using. It may have been maybe a 50 or a 35, or maybe even something a little longer. And you can see how the background, with all the people in the background, are blurred and soft, so that you're focusing your attention completely on them. The people in the background help to provide a sense of place, and even though the signs are kind of blurred, if you really kind of read carefully, you might be able to read some of the signage. But what I like about the overall scene is, the use of lines, especially at the top of the frame, that help guide the eye towards the center to where these people are. And also, you'll notice that the light that's falling on them is likely sort of coming overhead, and it really gives a nice edge lighting to their faces, and to the point where their noses meet. The edges of the frame are darker. I'm not sure whether that was occurring naturally, or whether Issei here burned them in order to sort of basically darken the edges to bring more attention on the center. But whatever the case is, I think it works really, really nicely. But all the things that I normally talk about on this channel in terms of making a good composition are at play here, in terms of light and shadow, line and shape, and of course, most importantly, the gesture here, because the intimacy between these two is really at the heart of this image. If they were just staring forward and they were doing nothing else, the shot wouldn't have any magic to it. But it's just the fact that connecting. They're all into each other. And you would be surprised that even when you get relatively close to people that are like this, you can make numerous photographs, and they're none the wiser. I've done it countless times, and part of it is because they're so into each other, and also it can be just because the abundance of noise, other people in the scene. And if you're using a relatively quiet camera like my X100F, the sound of the shutter being released is not going to make any sound at all. If you're using a DSLR with that, with a big thunk thunk of the mirror coming up and down, you may not be able to get away with shooting a dozen shots. But if only you get one shot like this, I think it's well worth it. Okay, here we have a shot by Eric Castro. We don't have any XF data here. Now, here we have these two girls that have won their prizes. One with a large orangutan on her shoulder, the other girl with a tiger underneath her arm. You see the food stand in the background. You see some other kids to the left. I'm not exactly sure where this is in New York, but again, when you have street festivals or state fairs, you'll see moments like this where kids or adults are carrying around the prizes from having won at these games that are all over the place. And I really like this image because even though it's someone walking down the street, there's a little bit of humor that's infused in the shot as a result of the stuffed animals that they're carrying. But it really gives you a sense of what's happening at this street scene. It's just not just somebody walking down the street. You get a sense, even though you may not see any signage or what event this particular is the presence of the food stand and the stuffed animals and the people in the background give the sense that there's some event going on, and you can see by the tented stations behind them that there's obviously a lot of stuff being sold and so on and so forth. And the image is a little blurred, and I think that's partly due to the relatively slow shutter speed that was used. I suspect that Eric probably reacted very quickly to this scene, and so he just kind of turned the camera and got the frame off. Because it's not that the image is soft to the lens being not sharp; it's more camera motion. But that doesn't bother me at all, because for me, the content of the image is much more important than how technically sharp it is. There are images of mine that I just love, even though it's slightly soft due to camera shake. But the content of it is so important to me, I don't care. I think sharpness is overrated sometimes, and you can overlook a great image just because it's not technically perfect. But this moment here is really nice. Again, we're dealing with a relatively shallow depth field because not only do you see that the background is blurred due to the camera motion, but also the shallow depth of field from the lens choice, which I suspect was probably around f4, maybe even 2.8. I think this was with a wide angle lens because of how much it includes in the frame. And I really like the eye contact of the girl directly at the photographer, and the hand gesture of her hand coming up as she's about to adjust the orangutan on her shoulders. There's a bemusement. Oh, she's just kind of curious as to who this person is and why they're making her photograph. And then you have the other girl who's completely, oblivious to the presence of the photographer, who's just looking forward. And I just like that eye engagement because there's just something about her expression that really makes it nice. The camera is tilted a little bit to the right, and again, I think it adds to the image, and it works really nicely. The light is very soft and diffused, so we're not dealing with really harsh shadows as you would on a bright sunny day. Color is a big part of this. You can see the color of the orangutan being mirrored by the color not only of the tiger but of the food that's behind that little plexiglass thing on the right. The blue of the shirt of the boy on the left is mirrored in the blue of the shirt of the shorter girl, and those items right behind the both of them. So there's a repetition of color, which contrasts with the rather neutral tones that pervade the rest of the shot. It's really just a wonderful, wonderful shot, and just another example of the kind of moments that you can get when you take advantage of summer. And as part of my summer, I'm going to be going up to Vancouver at the end of August. And there I'm going to be teaching a workshop along with my friend Olaf Sztaba. Now, if you've been watching this YouTube channel, you have a sense of my sensibility as a photographer, but you should definitely check out Olaf's. We are cut from the same cloth in terms of our sensitivity to light and shadow and the way that we approach photography, but we also have some key differences. And if you come to this workshop, you're going to have the opportunity to learn from both of us and to get some personal attention that you wouldn't get at a workshop that has, a whole lot of people, or when there's only one instructor to go around. It's going to be a wonderful event. Vancouver is a beautiful, beautiful city, and it's just ripe for street photography or travel photography. But if you've been thinking about doing a workshop and you're, even if you don't live close to here and you think you can manage it, go to the link, which is visualphotoexperience.com. I'll have a link below in the notes below, and lock in your spot and join us. It's going to be an amazing, amazing time. Okay, lastly, I have a shot by Shel Serkin. I don't have any data here other than it looks to have been created with a smartphone. And so here's a beach scene, a big part of summer if you live along the coast or by a lake. And you can see how Shel here takes advantage of this scene where these two people, who I assume are this child's parents, are talking to him, maybe because he's sort of a little upset. And then you have other people immediately behind them that may be related to the two people in the foreground. And then you have the abundance of people that are playing around in the water. Again, this is a moment where parents are communicating and interacting with a kid. And I really love this moment. We don't see the kid's face because the woman's face blocks his. But you can get a sense by the body language of both that they're both trying to address something with him. I'm not sure whether he's sad or he's angry or he acted out and the parents are sort of correcting him. But you can read from the body language that something's happening between the parents and the kids. And though I would have loved to have seen his face, the shot is ruined because I don't. And then on top of that, you got these two guys immediately behind them, especially the guy on the right, whose arms are extended all the way up into the air. I really love how the image is layered in that way. And then immediately behind them, we have the people who are right in front of the wave that's coming in, the girl with some goggles on, and then the black girl on the right with her braids running through the water. And then on the left, you have two women speaking to each other. And just beyond the wave, you have a bunch of other people waiting for the next wave to come in. And in the distance, you see what looks like to be a vessel of some sort in the distance. And there's even a little bird that's flying in the very middle of the sky and the cloud. And what I really like about this shot is those layers. And again, it's like light and shadow, line and shape. We don't have color here, which is fine, but we definitely have a lot of gesture. And when you have as many of those elements within a composition, the likelihood that you pull off a great shot is there. But when you get a moment like this, where people are just being people in this very dynamic, beautiful scene, man, it's really hard to go wrong. And I really want to encourage you that when you go out and you photograph it, whatever these public events are, go ahead and push yourself to move in a little closer. When you see these moments, don't be so shy and be reluctant with the camera, because Shel shot this with a smartphone. So this shot looks beautiful. I mean, the tones, the sharpness, the pop of the image is really amazing. And that's what we have today with these smart devices. And you can get away with you can get away with producing some amazing results with a smartphone, and you can be a lot more inconspicuous, because really the goal is, at least for me, when I encourage my students, is to go out there, move past your own insecurity and fear about approaching people in such intimate circumstances and making the photographs. And if what gets you there is using a smartphone, then go ahead and do that. And then you can build up to using your digital camera, whether it's a mirrorless or a DSLR. You just have to get past your own reluctance to make images like this, because as you've seen with these three photographs, man, it really pays to to go in, make the shot, and make something really, really beautiful. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video and you got a lot from it. If you want to find out more about the Candid Frame, which is my podcast, all you need to do is go to thecandidframe.com. And there I feature interviews with photographers from all over the world. Our most recent conversation was actually with a documentary filmmaker, Willem Baptiste, who did a documentary film on Polaroid. And it's not a straight sort of documentary that's just talking about the history of the film. It really explores how people have adopted the film, both personally and creatively as artists. It's on the film circuit right now, so it isn't available for streaming yet. But keep an eye out, and hopefully by the end of the year or maybe early next year, it will be available for people to see unless you attend some of these film festivals. And if you want to contribute to the Candid Frame Flickr poll, all you need to do is go to your computer and go to Flickr and just do a search on the Candid Frame. I'll also have a link below, and just ask to be added. But don't do it on your phone or tablet. If you do that, you'll get a notification that it's a private group only and it's by invitation only. Just disregard that. You just have to not do it on your phone or tablet. Just get on your desktop or your laptop computer and put yourself in the queue, and I usually get to it about once a week. And if you like what you're seeing in these videos, give us a thumbs up, give us a like and a subscribe, and pass the word along, as that always, always helps. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.